What's going on, guys? I'm back here today with a pretty one, so let's jump right into it. It's a Uberti. It's a single action, brought to you by none other than Taylor's & Company, of course. 45 long colt, Remington conversion. Take a look at this piece of art. All right, guys, now if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen me mess with wheel guns and you've seen me mess with single action wheel guns. I wish I was a cowboy. So, I have not done a video on any of my other single actions yet, but I wanted to make one on this beautiful piece here today. This is what is called a Remington conversion. It's in 45 long colt, so no black powder, which is what I would prefer. I don't want to get into black powder at all. Made by Uberti, brought to you by Taylor's & Co. Now, I like this for a few reasons. One, it's got the long, like 8-inch barrel, right? It's got that old school classic cowboy look. It's got the really nice engravings all over it with the brass trigger guard and the pearl grips or ivory grips, imitation of course. But this thing is just so pretty. So this being a single action, it's going to load the old school way. Loading gate, half cock for you to then drop your rounds in. Then close it. Now, what's cool about it is because it's like the old school cowboy cap and ball black powder type gun, even though this is in center fire, more traditional round, it still gives you that old school cap and ball feel with the plunger. So you would take this off, and as you would load in your cap and ball, this is still functions as that old school plunger to compress your cap and ball. Cowboy stuff, right? It's that 1800 stuff, that 1850s, you know, that just old school cowboy stuff. But then it still has over here on this side, you still have the opportunity, have this being in half cock, when you're empty, to push out that spent casing if they don't fall free. So you have the ability to do that also. I just think this is just a really cool piece, man. It's like you're a cowboy. It's back in the day cowboy stuff. So let's take some shots. This is going to be first shots here today and just see how it goes. I mean, it's a single action cowboy gun, 8-inch barrel. It is gonna be awesome. All right, so this is a 6-shooter, but I have not loaded it in the traditional cowboy carry way, I guess you would say, with 5 in, hammer down on an empty chamber, which would be, I guess, the way to do it because you don't want that hammer resting on a live round. But since I'm shooting here at the range and I'm just gonna shoot it anyway, I'm just gonna pull hammer back, have all 6 rounds in, let them fly, see how it goes. So let's do it. Here we go. That's awesome. I know what you guys are gonna say, but this thing is really accurate. You'll say, oh, it's an 8-inch barrel, it better be accurate. But I'm stacking rounds. Okay, I'm at 10 yards, but I'm stacking them. I think that's 6. Yo, man. This is first shot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set the camera up downrange. I'm just gonna mark a target off and show you. I'll jump it back to 15 and shoot this thing, and oh my God. And maybe it's a little bit of the soft recoiling cowboy load, 45 Colts, but this thing, this is great. I gotta get a holster for this. I gotta find some, if you know anybody that makes holsters for something like this, I need a holster because This is great. All right, let's quickly, let's just try to, oh, this is off the cuff here. Let's try to unload this thing using the plunger. So we're gonna have to take this down, right? And you're gonna use this, push that round out. There we go. There we go. Sometimes if you've ever messed with cowboy guns, you gotta get that thing lined up just perfectly. Hear that click, you're in the right position. Definitely not the fastest thing. I feel for them cowboys. But, all right, let's load it up. I'll set the camera up at the target so you can see what I'm doing. And let's get this thing going again. All right, guys, so I got a fresh backer here with a small taped off area, just to give you an idea of what I'm aiming for. I'm gonna try to keep that group tight as I can. I'm expecting great things because it was just shooting so phenomenally well. I mean, you can tell here it's not huge, but it's not small, but I'm gonna back it all the way up to 15, see how it goes. And I'm gonna leave the camera right here so you get a good shot of where the grouping is. Now that I'm thinking about it, do I want the camera over my shoulder so you can really see the distance? And then I can walk the camera up. Why don't I do that? I'm gonna walk the camera up so you can see me shooting at the distance. Let's do that now. All right, here we go. 15 yards, 6 shots loaded up. Let's do it. All right, let's walk it down. My first shot, I already know, was a flyer. And I was holding the sights just a skosh high. But I'll tell you what, at 15 yards, I'm happy with that. This was my first shot here. I don't know if it's coming up on camera. And then after that, I think I was here. I shanked one just a little bit here. Now I was aiming dead center. So these first few shots that were a little high, I noticed that the front bead in that notch was a little high. Cowboy guns, a lot of times, the rear notch can be a little small, and then the front post is a little big. And it's, for me, and I think generally speaking, it's a little different sight picture. Normally used to the sort of even sights of a modern handgun where the rear post and the front post are the same height. So you're lining those up. This, with the wheel gun, you almost have to you're angling it down just a little bit to get that front post to meet up with those smaller rear sights. I'll show you that here in a second. So when I realized I was shooting a bit high, I adjusted that front post down to really bury inside that notch. And it came out a little better. That's when those shots were right in here, those last couple shots. So 15 yards with a cowboy gun, an old school cowboy gun, single action. That's great. I dig it. I dig it. When I was shooting just closer, I think it was like 7-ish yards, 5 to 7 yards, I was stacking them. They all looked like this. But 15 yards, I think if I ran it again, actually, you know what, let's run it again and see if I do a little better. All right, let's run it down. I think it was a little better grouping. I had one flyer. My first shot was a flyer. I'm a little right, but you can see there, I had 4 that were much closer. I think overall the grouping was tighter than the old grouping that was right in this whole big area. Now I'm like mostly here in that first shot flyer. So guys, I'm digging it. I'm digging the cowboy gun. That's pretty accurate. I mean, 15 yards with, you know, a modern pistol. I mean, sometimes can be challenging to hold a group that's pretty tight like that. You know, the gun's heavier, it's an 8-inch barrel, it should be more accurate, but it's still a revolver. Revolvers can be tricky to shoot. You just hold them differently. You can't hold them the same way as a semi-auto. It's different, it's a different feel. A good look at how fun guns like this can be and how pretty they can be. I mean, I appreciate all kinds of firearms, but when you get something that looks like it jumped right out of a cowboy's hands and it's got like a really cool engraving to it, the brass touches, you know, the ivory type grips or pearl type grips, it just does something for me and it just looks so cool. If you're not into wheel guns or old school like cowboy action wheel guns, give them a try. You can literally find them for pretty cheap, especially used. Get something to get into it. This is in 45 Colt. I like a 45 Colt over like a 38 Special 357 just because I feel like 45 Colt's a more true cowboy era gun caliber. So I like to keep it in that 45 Colt. But fun nonetheless. Before I forget, I'm gonna show you if I can get a shot of those sights. So you got that rear notch that's kind of low, and then I'm not gonna get it to focus, it's not gonna focus on both, but it's just a little bit of a different sight picture. The front post, you can see, usually is taller, and then you kind of have to really bury that front notch. Man, it's gonna be tough. That's definitely not gonna focus. But it's really about burying that thing so it's almost like you're tilted downwards. All right, guys, don't forget Steve MP5 on the Instagrams. See you next time.